Okay, welcome everyone. It says, Ki anon Hashem ala mishkan b'chol maseim. The last pasuk in Pikudei, which is the last pasuk of sefer Shmos, it says that it talks about what the Bnei Yisrael were protected with. And it says, after all the Klei Mishkan, that what exactly Vayakol and Pikudei was talking about, but then it goes to say, from Maftir till the end, that V'yichas ha'anan es ha'ol moed echavod Hashem maliyas Mishkan, that the anan would cover the Mishkan, and Hashem's honor would be filled there. V'lo yachol Moshe lavo ha'ol moed Ki shachan elav ha'anan, when Moshe was not able to come there, right? And then at the end it says, V'im lo ya'aleh ha'anan v'lo yisu ad hayom. So whenever the anan, the cloud, would go up, then they would know they would have to travel, and if it would not go up, they would stay, right? And then the last pasuk says, Ki anan Hashem ala mishkan yomam, because the cloud of Hashem was on the Mishkan during the daytime. Ve'esh tiyeh Laila Bo, and the fire was on it at night. Leinei Kol Beis Yisrael, in front of the eyes of all the house of Israel. B'chol Maseim, in all their travelings. So Rashi says on that pasuk, it says, B'chol Masa Hayunosim, in every travel that they would be traveling, Haya Anan Shochein B'makom Asher Yachanu Sham. That was where the cloud was, wherever they camped. Okay? Makachaniyasam afhu karoi masa. So Rashi is saying that if it's talking about, we know that it's only when it was the anan wouldn't stay with them all the time on the Mishkan. It would only stay there when they were camping, right? Not when they were traveling. So why is it saying that on all their travelings, it means, how can you count the camping as traveling? So Rashi says that it's also considered as traveling, because until they come to their ultimate goal, the ultimate destination, then it's still considered traveling, even the places where they camped. So the Nesivos Shalom asks a question. Okay, there's nothing extra in Torah, nothing missing in the Torah. So whenever it says a word, yes, Rashi's answering the question, but the fact is that it still says the word maseim. Maseim means traveling, right? So how can you translate camping as traveling? Because that's when it was there. It was when it was camped, not when they were traveling. So it's totally the opposite. Mm-hmm. So he says that in order to understand this, he brings from different sefarim, and he says like this. He says, we know that the pasuk says, "Va'asu li mikdash v'shechanti b'socham," right? That they should make for me a mikdash, a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. Which should be it, I will dwell in it. And we explained that it means that we will dwell in them, meaning that Hashem will dwell in them, meaning that if we can make our own Mishkan out of ourselves, we sanctify ourselves to become a Mishkan, and then we can, then Hashem will dwell in it. So that means that just like we have a commandment, as all Bnei Yisrael has a commandment to build the Mishkan, to build the Beis Hamikdash, right? We also have our own commandment individually to be able to sanctify ourselves enough so that Hashem can be able to dwell within us. And we see that with many times in the Torah. It says, "Kedoshim tiyu," you should be holy. "V'skadashtem v'yetzim kedoshim," and you should sanctify yourselves to be holy. "V'atem tiyuli mamlachas kohanim v'gai kadosh," and you should be for me as a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, and on and on. It says that throughout the Torah, different times. So, and then once we do that, then Hashem promises that I will dwell among you, right? So when a Jew actually comes, and does the right thing, and he fulfills v'asuli mikdash, he makes from himself a mikdash, then his whole body becomes like a small sanctuary for Hashem. And what happens afterwards? Ki anan Hashem ala mishkan yomam ve'eshti alayla bo. Meaning that just like there was always an anan or an eish protecting us in the midbar, so too if we make ourselves like the Mishkan, when we go ahead and we sanctify ourselves, so too our bodies we are making Hashem be able to protect us. Okay, we're giving that protection because Hashem is going to be with us, so therefore He's going to protect us. And there's going to be with a special Shmira Elyona. So that's why it says B'chol Maseim. Even though it seems like it doesn't really make sense for they're not traveling at that, because it's talking about not this individual time period. It's talking about our whole lives as a Jew for forever. And he brings down from the Degel Machne Ephraim in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, that it says that it was 42 masos. There were 42 travelings that they traveled, right? And so too, just like the Bnei Yisrael traveled in the middle 42 times, so too every Jew has his 42 travelings. Okay? And then when we see later on, when it says Eile Maseh Bnei Yisrael, when it says this is the travelings of Bnei Yisrael, it's talking about the travelings of each and every Jew. That means the travelings from the time that they went out of, and it says Asher Yatzu Me'eretz Mitzrayim, that they went out of the land of Mitzrayim. What does that mean? Me'es Tzeis Rechamimo, from the time that he came out of the womb of his mother. From the time he came out of his womb of his mother, it's like coming out of Mitzrayim, all the way till he comes Ad Boyo Haaretz, until he comes to the land. What does that mean for us? And we come till Me'ev Esrim Shana, until we come to Olam HaEmes, right? So he says the Torah is coming to teach us that how is it that we are going to go through the entire lifetime, our lifespan, with these 42 travelings that are going to be ups and downs, constantly, right? So he says that just like in the midbar there was snakes and scorpions and dangerous things. So what happens? And we know that it says v'zachartes kol haderech asher holichacha Hashem Elokecha zeh 40 shana b'midbar, that you should remember. It says in Devarim, you should remember all the path that Hashem took you. He guided you in the midbar for 40 years, right? And he guided us within that midbar was full of dangerous things, right? And so what happened? The Anan would go before it and clear away all the dangerous things. It would go ahead, and any time that there was an uphill, it would smooth it out. Anything that was down, everything it would smooth everything out to make it easy walking, easy traveling. Besides all the other miracles that the Anan did. Right? And then he says, in the name of the Beis Avram and the Rav Yitzchak from Pikudei, that he says that Shebechol Yom, there was this. He would get up in the morning. This tzaddik, he would get up in the morning, and he would say every day in the morning when he get up, he would say, "Kasher liot Yehudi, Asheretz zani Yid." It's hard to be a Jew, right? And he would start saying about why it's hard, because the Yetzer Hara is telling me this and making me that, and Yetzer Hara, the inclination is not just anybody, is a malach, so it makes it very hard. It's an angel doing this to me. And then all of a sudden he would get up on his feet and stamp with his feet and say, he would say, But im erzeh uchal, if I will, ich can. If I want to, I can. Right? So he would go through this every morning, to go through that normally, it'd be hard, this and that. So a person goes through a day and he comes through a hardship, but he actually went through it as he's going through, right when he got up in the morning, to say that any time I have throughout my day that I'm going to come through, a good or bad thing that I have a choice to do, my Yetzer Hara is fighting me. So he went through it in the morning to start off that way, and he says, "No, if I want, I can really fight him." So he says, and then he said that how, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu was helping, and the tzaddikim that I'm connected to in this world and the tzaddikim in the next world, they're also helping. So then he says something that to me answers a question that I had. My question was, why 42? Like, okay, if we're telling the story of the Bnei Yisrael going from Mitzrayim to Eretz Yisrael, and in between there was 42 travelings, then I understand, for whatever reason. Okay, but even that, why is there 42? Why not 43? Why not 60? What's the number 42? So I'm sure there's other reasons, and I think I've heard other reasons, but he says something here. He says, he doesn't say it outright, but I'm taking it from his words. He says, there's 40 main years of a person's life, right? That those are the main years of his life, that he should come to his yiyud, his destination of life destination, his life potential, and the whole purpose of his life. So what does he mean by that? Obviously, he doesn't mean the years when we're a kid. We're talking about when he must mean the years when we're, when we're becoming, a person. We're actually an adult. So I was thinking, he doesn't say it outright here. He says 40 mid years of your life, the middle years of your life, 40. So obviously, to me, that would mean when a person's, is 20, the first thing that came up to my mind is 20. And 20 years old, right? It says ben esrim la'onshin, right? So when a person becomes 20, when he becomes 13, he's chayiv in the mitzvahs. He's obligated to do the mitzvahs. When he becomes 20, he already has punishments. That's why a lot of people, there's a minhag to fast on your 20th birthday, because now you're becoming responsible for not just to do the mitzvahs, but if you don't, that you can get punished. So that's what 20 is about. So I was thinking 20, but then and then I thought a little more. It says, why is it the middle years? Because I figured, what does Pikudei say? Ben shishim lezikna, right? From 60 is for old age. So in old age is right. No matter if you live, to 80, 90, 100, 120, it's still the zikna starts at 60, right? The old age starts at 60. So therefore, there you got 40 years. But really, I think it starts 2 years beforehand, because 18 is when you're supposed to get married, and that's really when your life starts, right? So I figured maybe that's what he means, that 42 masos is the 42 years of our life. I don't know, that's my thought. I don't know if it's true or not, but I thought about it. Anyway, so it just happens to work out, 42. So, and really we know that everything that is in the Torah is really as a lesson for us. So the 42 masos could be our 42 main years of our life is from 18 to 60. Anyway, so he says, really, normally, in a normal person's life, the hardships are those times, that middle part of our life. That's normally what it is, right? When we starting a family, when parnasa, getting a livelihood together, it's not easy. All these things are difficult, and we have to go through them. And it's hard, just like going through the midbar, and then going through all the ups and downs of the midbar. So he says that we have protection from Hashem. if we are mekadesh ourselves, if we sanctify ourselves, then through those years of our life that really are difficult, and the years before and after too, for sure, then we can have protection from Hashem, because we sanctify ourselves. So then He can therefore dwell within us, and if He dwells within us, automatically we're protected. And he says something. He says like this. He says, there's just like it says in the Torah that they were protected day and night, so too there's different times of our life that there's different situations. There's day and there's night, right? Meaning day is obviously it's not easy, but nighttime is much harder, right? Because it wasn't just for nothing that they called the dark side and Star Wars or anything like that. It is from the Torah, right? When we're coming to the darkness, really means the not good. It's when the Yitzhahara has more shlita over us. When there's darkness, and he says, "Lahagid baboker chastecha ve'emunascha balelos." What does that mean? Because it's easy to be able to tell over the kindness of Hashem during the daytime, but ve'emunascha, we have to show our belief during the night, because nighttime is hard. We need Hashem much more. So, and it's not referring to actual night, it's referring to the dark times. So he says like this, he says that there are regular times of the day, regular times of a person's life that are like daytime. Meaning that the only thing that he needs an anan, he needs a cloud of Hashem, because he's anan Hashem to be able to go against the anan that he's going through. He's going through a cloud of his own, right? And when he's going through a cloud of his own, he doesn't know where to go, so he needs the anan of Hashem to counteract that. And therefore, and we happen to know that there's 3 different levels of darkness, right? There's Anan, Choshech, and Arafel. Anan is cloud, Choshech is dark, and Arafel is like thick darkness that you can't move. And I think I mentioned this before, but this is where the Makar is from in the Nesivos Shalom. It says, Moshe nigash el harafel ki sham elokim, asher sham elokim, right? Moshe went close to the Arafel, to where it was the darkest of the darkest. It's the highest level of darkness, asher sham elokim, because that is exactly where Hashem is. Meaning that we think that, sometimes, like that there's this, I think it's a Christian poem or something, but it all comes from us anyway. There's footsteps. Anybody seen that? That why is it that I go through, the person's asking God afterwards, why I'm going through my whole life and I see the hard times, there's only 2 sets of footsteps, one set of footsteps. And normally there's 2 sets, but there's the easy times and you're walking beside me. Here, what happened? During the tough times, you let me go. He says, no, I was carrying you then. Right? I was right with you, I was carrying you. So the Rav Meilech Biederman, he says like this, he says, you have a peephole in the door, right? So he says, when you're on the other side of the door and you don't know if you don't know if anybody's there, you see the lights on, right? But once you see afterwards it's totally black, what does that mean? Somebody's actually looking. So he says, when it's totally, totally black, that's when Hashem is actually right with you. He's looking. So, when it's still some light in there, then we're not sure. But you would think that, it's so dark. Where's Hashem? That's exactly where Hashem is. And it says that's what it says. Moshe nigash al Raphael, that he went to the darkest of the dark. That's the lowest level of darkness. So, and it says also, the Baal Shem Tov brings down in the pasuk from Devarim that says, "V'anoichi haster astir," that I will hide my face from Hashem is going. It says that He's going to. When we do something that's not good, then Hashem is going to hide Himself, like we're living right now in the Hester Punim, right? So He says that Besocha Hester, within the hiddenness, Anochi Mistater. So He says, why does it say I'm going to hide my face in a double lashon? Hide, I shall hide. Why does it say a double? So the Baal Shem Tov explains that within the Hester, within the hiddenness, that's where Hashem is actually hiding. He's there. Where you don't think that He's there because it's so hidden, that's exactly where He is. So, and therefore, Anan Hashem, the cloud of Hashem, comes to protect him for a Jew that sanctifies himself, to have this special Anan Hashem to go and counteract the Anan that he's going through. And ve'esh tia laila bo, like the pasuk says, we had the fire actually coming in during the nighttime to protect us. So too, when we have night, as in the metaphor of night, not the actual night, and in our lives, that it's so tough, right? That the Yetzer Hara is really, really tough on us, right? So then, if we make, and not just anything, it's like, even if it's not just Yetzer Hara of sin, or it's just like Parnasa, or anything that we're going through, the tough times of our life, sicknesses and Lo Aleinu, all these things, when a person sanctifies himself, that's exactly when Hashem is there as the Eish of Hashem to counteract the Eish of the Yetzer Hara, that is fire. Like we know that in order to kasher something, to kasher a pot that became treif from milk and meat together, or from total treif and treif animal, this and that. So the way it made it treif through the heat, you have to do it the same way through the heat. So Eish, the Eish of Hashem, comes to protect against the Eish of the Yetzer Hara. If he sanctifies himself, the Jew sanctifies himself properly, then the Eish of Hashem is inside him to protect him against the Eish of the Yetzer Hara. So it's when a person goes through this, and a Jew goes through this, without the Shmirah, then it becomes very, very difficult. And if he doesn't have this, so therefore he has to go ahead and we have to work on ourselves to sanctify ourselves to be able to have this special Shmirah with not only in our lifetime, but we know that we're all Gilgulim, we're all reincarnations. So to go through all the Gilgulim too, we have to sanctify ourselves. And through all the different troubles that we're going through, whether it be Gashmius and Ruchnius. So it says, at the end, he ends off with a epilogue for Sefer Shmos. He says, if we look at Sefer Shmos, we see that it starts out with the Golus of Mitzrayim, the exile of Mitzrayim, and then it goes right quickly after it starts with and explains about the exile. It starts the redemption, the Gula of Mitzrayim, right? And whatever they went through afterwards, right? And then after that, it starts with the 42 Masos, which we already started within Shmos, and it continues on afterwards, right? But they grew through that, all these different tribulations that they went through, the Jews in the desert, they grew, right? Yes, there were ups and downs, but there was a lot of Yeridos that were Tzarech Aliyah, going down to be able to like every fall that we have, we get up again. So that's what the same thing Bnei Yisrael did too. So therefore, the end of this sefer Shmos, it starts talking about building for me a mikdash, so that I should dwell amongst you. So to tell us that even within our gullus, within our exiles, in order to get to redemption, this is exactly what the Torah is telling us. With this Shmos that we're learning, that we're ending now, the Sefer of Shmos, that Ki anan Hashem ala mishkan yomim v'esh tia laila bo, that the Jew has to go and sanctify himself and to be able to have this special shmira in Hashem, and we should all be zocheh to be able to sanctify ourselves, so Hashem should dwell in us, and therefore we'll have this amazing protection in everything, gashmius and ruchnius, in our life.
Amen. Amen.